Are you tired of seeing all your favorite actors, favorite childhood books being canceled due to this new movement called cancel culture? Dr. Seuss was canceled. Potato Head canceled. Morgan Wallen canceled. Kevin Hart canceled. Justin Timberlake canceled, and Chris Pratt canceled. This term canceled. What does it mean? Well, what is cancel culture? Cancel culture is basically the practice of withdrawing support from individuals or companies who have done something offensive to you, and it's used to create social change. It's mostly seen on Twitter. It doesn't really matter when their actions happen. Could be happened 5 minutes ago or could happen 15 years ago. And really, their whole goal is either to call them out for something they did, and this new movement is to basically ruin their overall reputation. So when it began, we first saw it. The word "canceled" really began as a sexist joke, as in "cancel that girl." You see it in a film, New Jack, 1991, and a 2010 Lil Wayne song. It was originally began as a sexist joke. But then in 2015, Black Twitter took it over, and it was used as a joking or serious way to say, oh, like you disapprove of their actions or something they did. Well, that took another step, and the whole cancel culture agenda began in 2017 when Louis C.K. was canceled through the Me Too movement. And since 2017, the cancel culture has taken off. So in this speech, I want to argue that cancel culture actually has more negative implications on society than positive. And obviously, the first negative implication is mental health. Like, mental health is such a huge agenda nowadays, with people really wanting their health to be the best. And this whole idea of cancel culture actually ruins and hinders one's mental health. There's a study that happened that there's a link between cancel culture and mental health. It leads to anxiety, depression, trauma, suicidal behavior. And you see a lot of these celebrities, people who get canceled, actually have to go to therapists. And a lot of the therapists report saying that, man, these depression and suicidal like last for months after being canceled. But not only does it affect your mental health, one of the things that arguments against it is there's definitely a difference in culture. So throughout the years, like obviously as our culture changes, certain words, certain phrases are acceptable and used. So when people say something that 10, 15 years ago that they said then might not be acceptable now, and you see this cancel culture push to cancel those people, even though what they said 10 years ago was acceptable at that time, it's not acceptable now. For example, in 1937, Dr. Seuss published a book, and To Think I Saw It on Mulberry Street, and it used the phrase "a Chinese man who eats with chopsticks." Obviously, in 1937, that was acceptable, but now, almost 70, 80 years later, now it's not acceptable. Since it's been published up till 2021, we considered it acceptable and it never caused a problem. The next counter arguments, one of the arguments that the cancel culture uses is cancel culture is a useful to enforce social norms. Well, why do we have to use negative tactics to keep up social norms? There got to be positive ways to promote it in a positive way that's not affecting one's mental health. We need to keep them in check, responsible. How do we expect celebrities to be perfect all the time when we ourselves aren't perfect? Like, if we had a recording of everything we did, everything we said, obviously there'll be times that we say stuff that's probably not the best, that could result in us being canceled. But we're not a public figure. We don't have popularity. We're very small compared to obviously these celebrities. So why do we have higher expectations for them than ourselves? My final argument, and I think this is definitely like one of the bigger ones, is it results in no change. Like, the whole cancel culture movement, I've yet to see actually work. Yes, it calls out people, but there's no long-term effect. There's short-term consequences and short-term fame in a negative way, but then it disappears a month later. For example, look at Morgan Wallen, superstar country artist. Now everybody knows who he is. In early February 2021, video surfaced the internet of him using a derogatory phrase referring to one of his friends. and it got him canceled big time. He was taken off all radio stations, all music streaming apps for 2 months, and then he resurfaced. One of his consequences was he lost his opportunity to win a Grammy, but that was year one, and it's 2022, and he's up for Grammys. But the outcome, which is the arguments, actually has a reverse effect, is a lot of people didn't know who he was, but now that he's circling national news, he's now known, and his popularity grew tremendously. His album, which he dropped January 2021, which was canceled, is now on has just recently broke the record for the most weeks spent at top country #1 album of the week at 51 straight weeks. He was also the best-selling album across all genres in 2022 with 3.2 million albums sold. And in his tour that began in September, maybe 6 months after he was canceled, he has sold out 48 out of his 54 tour dates, and with an average ticket of around like $400, some ridiculous compared to his competitors. Conclusion. Obviously, these are only short points because we only have a short amount of time, but the cancel culture is just a toxic community that tries to uphold social norms via attacks and negativity instead of upholding their social norms in a positive way. However, their actions seem to fall short, and it leads to reverse effects and absolutely no change. Therefore, I'm going to have to say that the cancel culture doesn't seem to have any positivity, doesn't do any change, doesn't uphold their social norms, but it only causes riffraff and trouble. So, my opinion, I believe the whole cancel culture should come to an end. Thank you.